I have a question that is been bothering me since it's about family forum. I asked a question about it before, but what I want to know, I want to explain the details about this forum to Sheikh so that he can help me, inshallah. Um, the forum is about the whole purpose is about to know each other because family we're not living together. Some people live in different
Yeah.
countries. So sometimes they put if somebody die in our country or different country, they put the news there so that we know. Or sometimes we make a dua each other there, and but at the same time, sometimes they also share joke for example, cousin to cousin. They're a little bit older people, but for like marriage, but it's a joke as a joke. So yeah, so they cousin they used to say marriage joke, like for example, maybe I'll just marry this one, but they're not living together. Also, they are a little bit older. Yeah, but some of my mahram are there, and some of my cousins they are not mahram. So then for me, when I heard that, and then I told myself maybe because I had it before, they said to make a joke in the forums is not good. So I just removed myself there. But I told them that I have a memory phone because I don't want any problem just because of only
So
me.
what do you mean by married jokes?
For example, this one doesn't have a husband. The other one will say, "Oh, maybe let me just marry her as a joke for cousins."
Okay.
Yeah. So just that.
Okay.
So then, and then after when I went out there and I make an excuse, I told them that I have a memory phone. I will take a break. My phone, I have a problem on my phone, like for example memory. So I repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will not go back to the forum again. But I didn't make any swear that yeah. So in that after that I see myself that they add me. One of my cousins add me on that forum again. But since they add me, I still didn't make any contact with them. I don't listen to anything there. So I'm wondering if I'm starting to use it again, whether am I sinful because the recent I did that I'm not going to go back there. So I'm worried for that. That's why I'm asking now, because there's a family forum and sometimes they bring important things that when somebody die, I don't know. Also, that somebody that I don't know to be so that we can know each other. So yeah, they used to say that share this marriage, but for now I don't know whether they still do it or not because I haven't been listening to them for long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jazakallah khair, sister, for telling us that situation. And just generally, I mean, just on a general level, the Sheikh will answer it, inshallah, on how to,
So, this is about it's a family WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And the concern is around, should I stay in the group if some people are posting things that are inappropriate? And the particular example here is somebody making a joke about marrying somebody else who's already married, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Look, WhatsApp groups, they're a new phenomenon. So just forget thinking about WhatsApp groups. Think about this if this was a physical gathering.
Yeah.
And people were talking. Inevitably, if you're gathered with lots of different people, and particularly if they're family, not everybody is going to be speaking. The standard of appropriate, inappropriate, or the standard of propriety isn't the same to everyone. Not everybody has the same standards and so on. And you're then torn between participating in something that might be sinful, but also maintaining relationship with the family. So in the case with the sister, if she leaves the group, she doesn't know about what's going on, etc., because the family relies on the group to for those updates. Nobody writes letters anymore, of course. Nobody even makes phone calls anymore. My advice: I don't see the particular example of a joke here as that much of a big deal. At least not something that is sinful for you to see or witness.
Just the concept of a joke.
Just that, but no, just that particular joke. I don't know what else goes on in the forum.
Yeah.
Right. For example, if somebody was backbiting somebody else in the group.
Yeah.
Right. And you're there as an observer.
Yeah.
You're there as a participant in the group. And if this was a regular recurrence or other inappropriate images were being shown. It was you're now becoming witness to sinfulness, seeing sinful images and that kind of thing. Then I would be more concerned, right? I don't know if that's the case in this group. What I would do, however, is rather than leave, I would politely protest.
Yeah.
Because if it's family, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Right? You should be able to say, since this is a family group, you know, for us to be informed of what's going on in the family and so on. Can we keep away some of these things because I don't feel comfortable?
So
it's better to maintain the family collective on the group, but kind of censor the group from these things. And if people still ignore you, then just don't open those types of messages. You can tell, right? Somebody's posted a video of something. That's not information about the family. You understand what I'm trying to say? Somebody posts something and it's family pictures. It might be their children or something, and everybody will say, "Oh, mashallah," or they're going, "Oh," stuff like that. That might be a video you can open. You can tell, right? You can tell when something is appropriate or not appropriate. When it isn't, you can just ignore it. But to remove the possibility of sinfulness from ourselves, we should do a bit of amr bil ma'ruf and nahy anil munkar, since it's family, and we have we have the ability to at least say, look, can we not do this? Right, can we not?
I mean, you mentioned it's a new phenomenon. I think generally from my little observation, Sheikh, and you can elaborate and clarify as well. I think what happens is that there is generational interpretation of how to use social media, how to use WhatsApp, how to use these forums, and you find the elderly, generally speaking, they use it. Generally speaking, they use it in a limited way. When you see
they're more
practical way, younger people, they actually use it a lot more, and they know how to use it. They have different things you can use: documents, photos, annotation. These kinds. They use it for different things, or sharing memes, as they say.
But again, even then, it's not all inappropriate, and not all jokes are bad. Not all jokes are haram. Good or bad is a different kind of measure, but not all jokes are sinful. So my point is that I think get some clarity about what is or isn't. I would say swearing, profanity, backbiting, inappropriate images,
even inappropriate assumptions,
spreading slander about others, the kind of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade in the Quran, direct mockery of another person in the group, that kind of thing. These are the things that we should censor from our groups, or if that is not successful, then we ignore if there is a reason why we need to remain in the group. My advice, and I said this last time, my advice to the sister remains that since it's a family group and you need to stay updated on family news, etc. I would say remain in the group, and there is nothing wrong with staying in the group. However, should you see something that is inappropriate or sinful, appropriate, inappropriate, sometimes, like, it can be just a word. It's just a word, right? So if it's something sinful that you don't want to partake in or participate in, you should protest, because it's your family, and inshallah you will be absolved of any sin yourself. And at least that's a positive contribution to the group, right? Because this stuff will continue in your absence, and then you will also miss out on family news and so on. So just try to be a positive voice in the group, rather than just leave and then wonder, like, if somebody might have passed away and you don't know about it and so on. So think of it as being part of a mailing list, right? And it's necessary. It's your work mailing list or something like that. And sometimes somebody might put something in there that's not appropriate.
Generally,
so you just ignore it.
But just generally, these forums that we have, and these groups that we all in, everyone has these WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. I mean, a general overview. What would you principally like? What?
Well, there's two parts to this. There are two aspects to discussing these things. One is just indulging in social media too much, regardless of the question of content. So let's assume that a person is indulging in social media and everything that they ever participate in, right, is good. Right? Like, it's always positive. They only join good groups with good brothers and sisters, and like, it's always Islamic messaging and blah 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 blah, and but they're on it all the time. And it's resulting in them becoming late for salah, not going to jama'ah in the masjid, neglecting their family, neglecting their children, etc., etc. So there is this whole question of becoming addicted to social media, which is above and beyond the question of the appropriateness of the content. So first of all, that's something that everybody has to get a handle on, right? Your participation in social media, even if it's all good, should still be moderated.
Yes.
You understand? Because it's not the same. You're not, if you catching up on messages on social media is not the same as reading a book. It's not the same as seeking knowledge. It's not the same as doing a course. It's not the same as spending time doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not, right? Stuff that you see in these brief messages on social media, you don't remember.
These reminders.
You don't, you don't remember, you don't learn. And they're designed, when a sheikh gives a short 1 minute reminder for, I don't know, Instagram, which I absolutely hate, right? Because Instagram is evidence of people's lack of attention span, right? But shuyukh sometimes they still entertain it and they do it right.
Yeah.
Really, what they're trying to do is they're not really encouraging you to stay on Instagram and read the next message. When they remind you to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're not asking you to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Instagram. They're asking you to go leave Instagram, go sit somewhere and remember Allah, then do some dhikr, or do some tilawah of the Quran, or do some salah, etc. Right? Go out there and do some good, not live on Instagram. So regardless of content, right, there is this question of it is necessary to moderate our use of social media. That's the first thing.
I mean, it's just a dopamine rush that you get.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
designed,
meaning that it is possible for a person to only consume good content, but yet for it to be mere entertainment.
And it could affect them in other things and other domains.
Yeah, exactly. Real life, exactly. Meaning that you could be so addicted that you're actually not living your life at all. You're living other people's lives. And essentially you're using it as a form of entertainment. Right? As opposed to learning. You're not necessarily learning because this is not how learning is done. Otherwise schools would be running on Instagram, right? Now, these are social supplements.
Yeah.
You don't spend your whole day hanging about with your mates. Do you understand? That's just something that you do on the side. The rest of your day is work, family, etc., etc. So that balance has to be maintained. Definitely. Then comes the question of content. Then on the principle of content, we can say it's a tool, it's a device. If the content is permissible, it's permissible. If the content is impermissible, it's impermissible.
And I think that generally speaking, before we move on to the next few questions, generally a lot of people tend to focus on the content itself to say this is halal, this is haram, but no one talks about the system and the way it works and how that can be equally as harmful. Would you argue as well?
And it is. I mean, and how far? I mean, when does it? So people are hooked on WhatsApp, then they're hooked on Facebook, then they're hooked on Twitter, hooked on Instagram. Well, where's your time?
Subhanallah.
Right? Where's your time? What are you doing with your time? When are you doing tilawah? When are you doing dhikr? When are you reading good books? When are you seeking knowledge? When are you doing anything? And then on top of that, when are you spending time with your wife, your husband, your family, your children, etc.? Everybody's hooked on a phone. It doesn't make any sense. I have a teenager at home, and he does have a smartphone, right? So when he's reading, I often ask him. That's the other part of it as well. That sometimes moderation goes both ways.
Yeah.
So I tend to always, rather than say, get off your phone, I tend to say to him, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing on your phone? And I'll wait for his answer. So if he says he's doing something that he shouldn't indulge too much in, then I might say, okay, maybe it's time to give it a break, right? Give it a break. But if he's doing something that is productive on his phone, which he does do, then I'll let it be. So that's the other thing. So I think that's another thing to recognize. Like, it is a tool. I spend a lot of time on my phone, right? But I deliberately have a phablet on which I can read.
Yeah.
So to the onlooker, I could be doing anything, right? But but I have hundreds of books in there.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the exact
same thing. So there is a lot of my son, for example, he reads a lot.
Yeah.
And he reads a lot on his phone.
Yeah.
Right. He writes a lot. And bizarrely, I hope he's not watching this, but bizarrely, he writes on his phone. I keep saying to him, it's better for your thumbs to write on your laptop.
Yeah.
You have a laptop, write on your laptop. No.
I mean, some of these tablets have pens as well.
Yeah, he writes as a hobby. No, he has that. He has a tablet.
Yeah.
He has a proper tablet, right? Yeah. He has all of that. But he prefers to write on his phone.
Interesting.
And he'll sit there for hours and he'll write. And write.
He's been conditioned through schooling and through generally.
So that's another thing. This is where the whole question of habits come in, right? Yeah. Generational habits. Yeah. He's doing something productive, but it's strange.
But it looks to the onlooker as if it's unproductive or it's
So these are all things we have to balance things out, and and manage. We have to manage our engagement with social media, and most importantly, there has to be some balance, and we have to moderate.
I think,
and try to be. You have your devices. Find a way to be productive.
yeah,
You know, like have Kindle on there.
yeah,
Right. Let's. You know, if you can't have, if you have nothing to do, at least you might see Kindle and you might open it, buy yourself a good book and read.
yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Even if you're reading a novel, do you know what? It's better to read, right, a story,
Yeah,
than to watch a story, because
yeah,
first of all, you're not going to see inappropriate images.
yeah. I would also argue in between that as well, before I move on to the next question, that even if you can't read that book for sake of argument, if you're traveling, you can even listen to that book.
Yeah, you can have, get audiobooks.
You can become,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I still haven't quite got into those, but yeah, audiobooks. Like if you're traveling,
yeah,
particularly, if it's something that if you can't read,
so you-
because you're walking or running or
exactly.
whatever, driving perhaps, then audiobooks are great.
Inshallah. Barakallah feekum, Shaykhana. That's a very comprehensive answer to that, sister. And just generally, how do we navigate social media in the current modern age? I believe it to be very pertinent, and also I don't believe it's discussed too much. So if you've listened, alhamdulillah, I feel.
And
like
again,
that's very,
there's layers to this, right?
yeah,
So first, there's the question of devices
yeah,
and how we use them. Then it's the question of social media as a separate entity. It's like in the olden days, people used to talk about TV and the harms of TV, etc., etc.
yeah,
We literally have to have the same conversation about social media because it's just as harmful. So you've got the device on the one hand, which I would say is neutral. Then you've got things like social media, which can to an extent be neutral, but their neutrality can be misunderstood in the sense that the too much social media itself is harmful, even if the content is good.
yeah.
Then third is the question of content.
It's personal responsibilities
And
required.
yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you can get carried away.
I mean, maybe perhaps this is inappropriate for me to say, but for those of you who are watching on YouTube and Facebook, do comment about on this? How do you use the social media? Do you feel like you're using it well? Inshallah ta'ala, I'm sure the.
But what's the next thing you're going to do on social media? Watch this program and then go on and watch some nonsense, or is it what's going to happen? These are all things that we have to evaluate.
Yeah.